Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. I see most of our attendees have already joined us, so we will get started. My name is Nancy Knight. I am a communications officer with the City of Kingston, and I will be monitoring the session. So welcome again, and thank you for taking the time to join us at the online engagement session for Terra Verde Park. Before we get started tonight, and I introduce our panel, I have a couple housekeeping items that I would like to share with you. First off, this session is live streamed to YouTube and recorded. To protect your privacy, all participants have their video turned off and have been muted, and the chat functionality in Zoom is turned off. First thing we'll cover is technology troubles. Sometimes we know that those troubles can happen. There are a list of common challenges on Get Involved Kingston, including if your audio or video aren't working. You can adjust your view options so that you can see both the presentation and the members of the project team at the same time. If your internet connection does go down, you can call into the meeting at the number on this screen. Please write it down just in case. The number is 613-453-5818, and the webinar ID is 829-8286-1902. You can also follow live on YouTube where this meeting is closed caption. We will do our best to help you with any technology troubles that happen throughout the session, but sometimes the easiest way to resolve issues is to log out of Zoom and rejoin the meeting. So you can do that using the link in your registration confirmation email. Today, we're going to provide a question and answer period following the presentation. So if you have a question at any point during the presentation, you're welcome to use the Q&A feature, and we will answer your question following that presentation. The Q&A feature can be found on the bar across the bottom of the screen. To ask a question, type it into the question area. You're also welcome to raise your hand to speak and ask a question. So to do this, please use the raise hand function that can be found by following these steps. Click on the Q&A, a pop-up will appear, and there are multiple options. So choose raise hand, and I will be monitoring this, and I will acknowledge you, and then you can turn on your microphone so you can ask a question or make a comment. So please note, if we don't get to all of the questions tonight, we will be summarizing all of the questions and answers and posting that to the project page on Get Involved Kingston. I do see we have a raised hand, so before we move to the next slide, I will invite you to talk before we get started. Elaine, do you have a question, or are we good to keep moving on? All right, so I'm going to keep moving on for now. On the screen here, you can see our guidelines for participation. So if you joined us before at an engagement session, they may look familiar to you. These guidelines for participation were developed as part of the city's public engagement framework and to make sure that we can all join together and be respectful and open to ideas. So I'm going to leave this up for about 30 seconds so you have the opportunity to read them. If there are any concerns about the guidelines for participation, please let me know by using the raise hand feature. All right, seeing no objections to the guidelines for participation, we're going to proceed into this online engagement session following these guidelines for participation. So I'm now going to pass this presentation over to Lori Paquin, who is the project manager.
Thanks, Nancy. Good evening, all, and thank you very much for joining us this evening for the presentation of the conceptual design options for Terra Verde Park. I'm Lori Paquin, project manager with Parks and Shoreline in Engineering Services. Joining us in the audience this evening is Councillor Chappelle for District 2, Loyalist and Cataraqui. and our design consultant, Alex Forbes with Wentworth Landscape, will be leading our presentation. Terra Verde Park is a new neighborhood park located in Kingston's West End at the corner of Centennial Drive and Terra Verde Way. The new park will include a playground, a pathway and seating, tree planting, and landscaping. This new park will provide recreational and play opportunities for the new and growing Terra Verde neighborhood. Alex will present the conceptual design options this evening and will lead us through the design options 1 and 2. Following Alex's presentation, we will answer your questions. Thanks again for joining us this evening, and please join me in welcoming Alex Forbes.
Thank you, Lori, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining this evening to discuss the new Terra Verde Park. As Lori mentioned, my name is Alex Forbes, and I'm a landscape designer for Wentworth Landscapes in Picton. And we've been servicing the greater Prince Edward County and Kingston region for over 30 years, designing and building multiple parks, playgrounds, trail systems, memorial gardens, and high and low residential landscape amenities. Tonight, I'm excited to present our 2 design concepts for Terra Verde Park located in the west end of Kingston. Next slide. Here's a map of where Terra Verde Park will be located. It is at the southwest corner of Centennial Drive and Terra Verde Way, just south of Cataraqui Woods Drive. The park will be a welcomed addition to the new Terra Verde residential development to the north and west of the park. The future development to the north is currently under construction, and new residents will be expected in the coming years. And there are also currently 2 blocks of townhouses adjacent to the park that will be able to use the park immediately after it is built. The park will, of course, also be accessible for all Kingston residents and visitors to the city. The role of this neighborhood park will be to provide a safe and highly accessible place for children and local residents to recreate, relax, and get in touch with nature and the outdoors. The park will be especially beneficial to the Terra Verde residents as they can easily access the park without crossing any major roads, and will also be highly visible, which will provide a safe play environment. The park will also be designed according to the Annex H accessibility guidelines, which ensures that all new construction playgrounds are accessible for every child, ensuring all children can have fun when they visit the park. The policy considers all types of play, such as creative, cognitive play, physical play, quiet retreat play, and social play. Tonight, I'm going to present you with 2 concept designs that we have developed alongside the City of Kingston, and I will also be presenting different play equipment options for the playground portion of the park. After the presentation has been completed, you can visit the City of Kingston Get Involved platform where you will have an opportunity to fill out an online survey regarding this park. As Nancy mentioned, there will also be a Q&A period at the end of this presentation as well. This is the proposed layout for Terra Verde Park option 1. The 3 main components of the park are the playground area at the north end, the large play lawn in the middle, and the naturalized meadow area to the south. Starting at the north end of the plan, we are proposing a 2-meter wide asphalt pathway that connects with the existing sidewalk along Terra Verde Way, which leads park visitors south towards the playground and seating area. This path will be less than 5% in slope, making it accessible to people with mobility challenges, and it will also be easier to push a stroller up and down the path. And it will be wide enough for 2 directions of pedestrian traffic. Deciduous trees line the pathway to provide shade and a sense of enclosure when entering the park. The 2 lawn areas on either side of the pathway are meant for leisurely play, picnics, or walking your dog. At the end of the pathway, there's a concrete pad with 1 bench and a raised curb at the back of the pad for accessible seating. This seating area faces the playground so parents can watch their children play. The playground is located to the west of the pathway, and there's a concrete rolled curb, barrier-free entry to the playground. The playground safety surfacing is made from engineered wood fiber mulch, and I will show you the play equipment options on the next slide. But continuing with the park layout, we have proposed a small berm to the west of the playground, which will be planted with coniferous trees and naturalized plant species. The berm will block views to the parking lot as well as help with the westerly winds. South of the playground in the center of the park is a large play lawn, which can be used for more active recreations such as throwing a ball or frisbee or playing pickup soccer or ball. We have proposed a large berm between the play lawn and Centennial Drive in order to discourage small children from running towards the street, and it will also provide a visual barrier to the street. There are 3 deciduous trees proposed on the berm to provide shade to the play lawn and create a nice backdrop to the park as you enter from Terra Verde Way. Lastly, we proposed a naturalized meadow at the south end of the park to blend in with the existing landscape to the south of Terra Verde Park. The meadow will be planted with native grasses and other herbaceous species, which will increase the local biodiversity and wildlife species. There is also potential for a future pathway connection through this meadow, which could connect with a future greater pathway network to the west and south of the park. Now I'm going to show you the play equipment we have chosen for option 1. The play equipment proposed for option 1 is comprised of one large play structure with multiple play elements, 2 smaller toys, a spring toy, and a spinner toy off to the side. As I mentioned earlier, the play equipment chosen meets the recommended accessibility requirements as stated in the Annex H guidelines. The play structure includes play elements such as a double scoop slide, which encourages group play and racing potential. There are inclined floating stepping pods, which are hanging by chains so they wobble around as children step from pod to pod. There are 2 climbing ladders on either side of the structure. On the top platform, there's an educational fairy game panel that teaches children how to count while competing against a friend to see who can reach the end first. There is also a play store counter at the base of the structure so children can use their imaginations and play coffee barista or farmer's market. There's also a wheelchair transfer station at one end of the structure as well. As I mentioned, off to the side, we are also proposing a spring toy in the shape of a whale and a spinner toy as well. Studies have shown that these types of toys with swinging and spinning motions can stimulate a child's sense of balance and improve their spatial awareness. Now I'm going to present our second option for you to choose from. And please keep in mind that the play equipment we've shown you in option 1 can also be used in the option 2 layout and vice versa. The option 2 equipment I'm about to show you can be used in the option 1 layout that I just showed you. This is the proposed layout for Terra Verde Park option 2. 3 main components of the park are the lawn areas at the north end, the playground area in the middle, and the naturalized meadow area to the south. Starting at the north end of the plan, we are again proposing a 2-meter wide asphalt pathway that connects with the existing sidewalk along Terra Verde Way, which leads park visitors south towards the playground and seating area. This path will be less than 5% in slope, making it accessible to people with mobility challenges, and it will also be easier to push a stroller up and down the path. And it will be wide enough for 2 directions of pedestrian traffic. Deciduous trees line the pathway to provide shade and a sense of enclosure when entering the park. The 2 north lawn areas on either side of the pathway are meant for leisurely play, picnics, or walking your dog. In this option, the play lawn is accessible via the pathway as visitors will pass by the play lawn on the way to the playground. At the end of the pathway, like in option 1, there's a concrete pad with 1 bench and a raised curb at the back of the pad for accessible seating. This seating area faces the playground so parents can watch their children play. The playground is located to the north of the pathway, and there is a concrete rolled curb, barrier-free entry to the playground as well. The playground safety surfacing is made from engineered wood 5R mulch. In this option, we propose 2 berms again. This time, an L-shaped berm is located west of the play lawn and north of the playground, which will be planted with coniferous trees and naturalized plant species. The berm will block views to the parking lot, as well as help with westerly winds. We've also proposed a large berm between the playground and Centennial Drive in order to discourage small children from running towards the street. And it also will provide a visual barrier to the street. There are 3 deciduous trees proposed on the berm to provide shade to the playground area and create a nice backdrop to the park as you enter from Terra Verde Way. Lastly, we have proposed a naturalized meadow at the south end of the park to blend in with the existing landscape to the south of Terra Verde Park. The meadow will be planted with native grasses and other herbaceous species, which will increase the local biodiversity and wildlife species. Like in option 1, there is a potential for a future pathway connection through this meadow, which could connect with a future greater pathway network to the west and south of the park. Now I'm going to show you the play equipment we have chosen for option 2. The play equipment proposed for option 2 is comprised of 2 standalone play structures, both structures appearing simplistic, but they both provide excellent options for creative solo or group play. As I mentioned earlier, the play equipment chosen meets the recommended accessibility requirements as stated in the Annex H guidelines. The play structure on the left side of the rendering will be referred to as the multi-use round swing. It can support 1 to 4 children of all abilities swinging on it at a time. It conjures up images of soaring spaceships or flying carpets, all while helping children develop their balance, equilibrium, and social interaction. If the multi-use round swing isn't to your liking, a more traditional swing set with 1 belt seat and 1 baby bucket can be substituted in its place. The structure on the right is a rope climber and spinner all in one. It's very imaginative and can accommodate 1 or many children of all abilities at a time. A special bearing system allows the climber to rotate 360 degrees, but controls the speed of the spinning to allow equal enjoyment of all children playing on it. And that concludes the option 2 design proposal for Terra Verde Park. And now if we flip to the next slide, here are the 2 park layouts and equipment options I presented side by side. After I pass it back to Nancy, you'll be able to ask any questions you may have about either option, and a survey will be made available on the City of Kingston Get Involved platform for you to choose which park layout you prefer, as well as which play equipment you prefer. Thank you very much for listening. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Nancy to kick off the question and answer period.
Thank you, Alex, for your presentation. As he mentioned, we're going to move over into our question and answer period now. So please feel free to use that Q&A feature to ask your questions, and then I will read it out and direct it to one of our panelists. You're also welcome to raise your hand. I'm going to be monitoring for this, and I will acknowledge you when it's time to unmute and ask your question. So let's get started. Please don't be shy. If you have any questions or any comments about the project, we'd love to hear it. So we have our first question here. The question is, will there be a fence along Centennial Drive to prevent small children from running out on the road? Alex, can you take this one?
Yes, currently we're not proposing a fence along Centennial Drive, just the raised berm.
Thank you, Alex. The next question here is, what is the possibility of installing traffic lights at the intersection? I'm going to invite Lori to comment on that one.
Hi, that is a good question. And I'm afraid I'm not the person to answer that question. I don't know what the possibility is, but we can certainly reach out to the department in charge of that sort of thing and provide an answer.
Thanks, Lori. We're just going to pause for another moment here to see if any more questions come in. So I see our next question here. It is, when is the project expected to be completed? Alex, would you like to jump in on that one?
I think I might pass this one over to Lori, actually.
Sure, that's fine. We expect that the project will be complete in 2023, probably summer 2023.
Thanks, Lori. The next question tonight is there anyone on the call who received the flyers that were dropped off in the area by Councillor Chappelle? Please raise your hand if you received one of those flyers. So I'm seeing one hand up. Thank you so much for joining us. Just pause for another moment here. Please, we welcome your questions. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in or any, oh, we actually do have one more question. Thank you. So the question is, what maintenance can be expected for the naturalized meadow areas? I'm not sure who would like to jump in on that. All right, Lori, thank you.
I can certainly speak to that. So typical maintenance for a naturalized meadow area for the city of Kingston would be, I guess what we sometimes call low mow, meaning that it's not mowed as frequently as a typical lawn area might be, but may be mowed several times a year. What that does is it helps species to regenerate because they're getting lots of light down to a lower level once mowed. And it also helps to reduce the amount of weeds that may start to grow in that by removing the tops. So I would say to anticipate several times per year that would be mowed.
Thank you, Lori. Just pausing again here to see if there are any other questions tonight. All right, I think I am going to move us along here to say thank you very much for joining us and for participating. It has been wonderful to share this project with you and hear from you all. I do have an evaluation poll that I'm going to ask you to complete before you leave this online engagement session. So it should pop up onto your screen now. We also invite you to visit Get Involved Kingston anytime today or over the next couple of weeks to add your comments to an online survey that will be available until July 20th at 4 o'clock. We're going to report back on the results of that survey as well as this session tonight and share all of the comments onto that Get Involved project page that you see on the screen here. It's getinvolved.cityofkingston.ca/Terra-Verde. If you've signed up to receive updates about this project, you'll be notified when it's live on the site. If you haven't already signed up to receive notifications, please go to Get Involved Kingston onto the project page and sign up to receive those notifications and updates from the project team. Now, if you do think of a question that you would like an answer for, you can visit that site and you will see Lori's contact information, and you're welcome to reach out to the project team directly. So thank you again for taking the time to join us. I'm going to leave this poll up for another minute or two. All right, I'm just ending that poll now. Thank you everybody for joining us and for making the time to learn about Terra Verde Park and share your comments. We hope you have a great night.